Hey, I want you to take a look at this photograph. It's an iconic photo taken by Lewis Hine in 1920. It's titled Powerhouse Mechanic Working on Steam Pumps, which harkens back to that period in America's history where individual effort married innovation to propel this nation above all the others in the world. Now, the photo of a man with a massive wrench in his hand conquering a massive machine also speaks to a time where rugged, hardworking men were revered by the grateful public. They also strode to and from work with a sense of pride and a sense of purpose. They were truly the backbone of America's economy, and that made them the backbone of the world's economy. The 1940s, though, saw, in fact, more than a third of all Americans worked in factories, and not surprisingly, that was when we had the peak of labor participation for men. That was back in December of 1949. Almost 87% of men were in the labor force. Today, that number, 69%. And this morning, well, we saw more bad news for men who work with their hands from the ADP employment report. 5,000 fewer jobs in mining, 2,000 fewer jobs in construction, and 9,000 fewer jobs in manufacturing. And keep in mind, these occupations have been under pressure for a long time, even as employment was peaking. In fact, they've all come down a lot from their own individual peaks. You got to go back to November of 1979 to see mining jobs. They peaked at 1.2 million. Manufacturing peaked in June of 1979. 7 million more jobs than we have right now. Construction, well, they recently peaked in July of 2006 at 1.2 million jobs. Now, ironically, the nation is in the midst of a building boom. I mean, just look out of the window of any city. I'm telling you, you're likely to see a crane within plain sight. The nation is also on the cusp of a technology boom, and there's got to be some amazing opportunities to put those together. Somewhere in the midst, the country should be able to reverse the fortunes of blue-collar workers, especially men, that built this nation in the first place. Joining me now to discuss, Paul DiMeo. Paul, what is exactly going on here? How can we turn this around? Because ultimately, I think that's what this election was all about, getting men who work with their hands, get their fingernails dirty, back to work.
Well, Charles, I think I'm seeing people at work. I really do. I go to work every day with a lunchbox, and I have guys next to me walking on the job site with a lunchbox. And we're building a home. You know, we're in the midst of building a home right now. I get telephone calls for everything from replacing a water heater to fixing a cabinet to a new kitchen to building a kid's room to an addition here, an addition there. So I don't see this collapse of construction. I see construction coming back. I certainly know that in 2006 we were at the top of our game and then things fell apart, but I do see things coming back.
What about manufacturing? We're 7 million jobs below the peak. Construction, we're, to your point, only 1 million jobs below the peak, and mining has been cut in half. I mean, we saw in the last week.
Okay.
We saw in the last week where, for instance, Ford was going to build a $1.6 billion plant down in Mexico. Can't we bring those jobs back to America? Aren't those the kind of jobs that provide the sort of wealth, the incomes that allow the average man who can work with his hands to send his kids to college?
Okay, those answers are for minds far more greater than mine. I will tell you that the photograph you showed in 1920, our nation has grown 3 times that amount. There is now 3 times as many people. And we've become automated in so many things. So those jobs that used to be done with a man or a woman's hands are now done by a machine. I know that we talked about the tech world and all the jobs in the tech world. We talked about all the jobs in the banking and the financial world, that at the end of the day, they don't walk home having built something. They're not able to step back at the end of the day and say...
Let me ask you this, because another thing I'm hearing from a lot of people out there is that we're not, to your point, for the jobs that are materializing, we're not training them. There's no vocational training. I mean, is there something that we could be doing on the educational level so that we have welders out there and there's not a shortage of them in North Dakota?
Yes, we can, and it starts very, very early. Let's put down a little bit of the technology and let's go outside. Let's build something with my father, with my mother, with my brothers. Let's go and get busy. Let's go outside and play. Let's put down these worlds that are in our hands and let's get busy doing something so you can step back and look at it. There's not, I mean, listen, I built a home in every state in this nation. and I was able to work side by side with kids, and I know I can see what children look like at the end of a hard day.
Yeah.
They are having a great time, and they're able to look back and see what they accomplished.
Maybe we'll turn it around, because I think there's a yearning in this country for that to happen. Paul, thank you very much.